Chapter 8 was the peak of Israel theologically, and chapter 10 appears to be the peak of Israel materially, with a level of material prosperity that would make your mind spin if you could see it. When the Queen of Sheba heard about the famous Solomon and his relationship to the Lord, she came to test Solomon with hard questions. Now, we don't exactly know where Sheba was. Some say that it was Yemen, and others make a claim for Ethiopia. We can't say with any absolute certainty. When Jesus makes reference to this event, he simply refers to her as the Queen of the South. And so, as you can imagine, several communities have claimed that this woman originates from among them. Either way, we don't know all that much about her, but she knows enough about Solomon that she will travel an extraordinary distance simply to speak with him. Notice that Solomon's reputation is bound up with the glory of God. That is a really good thing. Solomon has obviously accomplished great things, the palace, the temple, and other building projects that he's spoken of in Ecclesiastes. He's a man who has a glorious representation, and yet this woman has heard not just about Solomon, but about the God that Solomon serves. And so she comes offering gifts, including large quantities of gold, and she talked with him about all that she had on her mind. Solomon answered all her questions. Nothing was too hard for the king to explain to her. I think nowadays he'd be accused of mansplaining. She seems glad, though, to have met a man with such wisdom that in fact comes ultimately from God. She is amazed by not just what she hears, but also what she sees. Verse 4, when the Queen of Sheba saw all the wisdom of Solomon and the palace he had built, the food on his table, the seating of his officials, the attending servants in their robes, his cupbearers, and the burnt offerings he made at the temple of the Lord, she was overwhelmed. Literally translated, there was no more spirit in her. It has the sense that she found it to be literally breathtaking. Now, I imagine that this was fairly unusual for a queen who obviously has an abundance of resources as well, hence the gift that she brings. It would be unusual for her to be impressed by much. What she is seeing here, then, is not simply man-made materialistic prosperity. This is the supernatural blessing of God. She says this in response to Solomon. The report I heard in my own country about your achievements and your wisdom is true, but I did not believe these things until I came and saw with my own eyes. Indeed, not even half was told me. In wisdom and wealth you have far exceeded the report I heard. How happy your people must be. How happy your officials who continually stand before you and hear your wisdom. Praise be to the Lord your God, who has delighted in you and placed you on the throne of Israel. Because of the Lord's eternal love for Israel, he has made you king to maintain justice and righteousness. Do you see that this woman has seen in Solomon something truly supernatural? And Solomon is not shy about its source. How else would she know about the Lord his God? Surely she only knows to give God the glory because Solomon has been doing so all along. In Matthew 5, Jesus says that we should let our light shine before others, that they may see our good deeds and glorify our Father in heaven. This woman has seen something of the wealth and the wisdom and the wonder of life under Solomon's reign, but she has not stopped there. She has looked through Solomon, as it were, to the God who stands sovereign over all. This is really wonderful. So interesting to think that at some point, the news of Solomon's splendor must have reached her ears. Someone, like an evangelist, you might say, told of a great king with seemingly infinite wealth and wisdom, and when she arrives, her faith is turned to sight, and she says, I was told about you, but I wasn't told the half. How wonderful it must be for those who are subject to this King of glory. You know, that is a little picture of the gospel, isn't it? Over in Matthew chapter 12, Jesus talks about this incident. He says, this woman came from the ends of the earth to listen to Solomon's wisdom, and that was a good decision. She showed her wisdom by doing that. But someone greater than Solomon is here, Jesus says, and you won't listen to him. And so while we marvel at Solomon's splendor in this chapter, we ought not to lose sight of the fact that one greater than Solomon has come. And the shocking thing is, it would take us next to no effort to hear his voice and listen to his wisdom revealed to us through the scriptures. The question is, do we listen? And do we live as he tells us to live? Or do we have the arrogance to think that we know best, that we'll make the decisions and call the shots in our own lives? For today, recognize that Solomon's glory was magnificent when compared with anyone else in the world, but minuscule when compared with the glory of God. You have been invited to come to the King of all kings, and he has made it easy for you. You don't have to become a person of importance. You don't have to travel a great distance. You simply have to humble your heart and turn towards him in repentance and faith. And you will have a friendship with a king greater than any king on earth. You will have wisdom spoken into your life that will truly transform how you live. You will share in his splendor and bask in his glory and enjoy him for eternity.